So I'll be talking about activity 8, which was about the evaluation of cost effectiveness of canopy management practices as an aid to reduce disease pressure. I can hear you saying, we're thinking that this is well known. Well, yes and no. It's not, it hasn't been very much studied for winter hardy grape cultivar, so that was one of the focus. And the other focus was that we know the benefit of canopy management in terms of grape quality, but it's not really used to reduce, well, to improve disease management, I should say. So, sorry. I won't have time to present everything we did over the last 5 years, but I'll show quickly the results of the first objective, which was a classical experiments where we investigated the influence of canopy management. I'll show mostly the results for leaf removal in the cluster zone on microclimate, fungicide penetration, disease progress, and the pathogen population. But I'd like to spend a bit more time on how these practices can be integrated into IPM programs so that we can see a real benefit in terms of disease management, but as well in terms of the amount of fungicides that are used. Very quickly, I'll show you a summary of the cost-benefit analyses we did, again with a focus mostly on disease management. So for the first objective, we conducted very classical experiments. It was done at the experimental farm of Agriculture and Agri-Food Canada in Fredericksburg, as well as at the CRAM. CRAM was another research station run by our collaborator, Dr. Provost. And we conducted the experiment on 2 cultivars, Chancellor and Vidal. We had classical repetition, and the treatments were leaf removal. We remove about 80 to 85% of the leaves in the cluster zone, and this was done either on one side of rows or 2 sides of rows at 2 times, nouaison and veraison. Again, here we focus mostly on disease management. So that's why we selected these 2 timing. And we look at disease progress every week, the impact on this damage at harvest, airborne inoculum. We use spore traps to monitor the airborne inoculum, microclimate, and fungicide penetration using the hydrosensitive paper. So if we look at the results, we were following the 4 most important diseases: botrytis bunch rot, downy mildew, powdery mildew, and anthracnose. I won't show that much results of anthracnose. So for botrytis bunch rot, as expected, there was a very good impact. Well, here I must say that leaf removal was the main practices for botrytis bunch rot management. I don't know if you can see my mouse, but if you look at the treatment, overall we had about 20–25% bunch rot depending on the years. And when we remove leaves on 2 sides of row at nouaison, well, we could nearly keep the disease below the 5%, which is more or less the economic threshold here in Eastern Canada. So we were very happy about that, but that was done at experimental farms, so don't forget that. If we look at downy mildew, here I showed the disease progress curve, and you have the different treatments. And what you can see is the leaf removal. If you look at the square and the triangles, basically it delayed disease quite a bit, almost by a month. And so, which is extremely important in terms of downy mildew, because the berries become resistant to the disease. So that was a very good plus. Or wherever it catch up later on in the season. So here, that's the 2 years combined together, and we got pretty much the same results for 2020 and 21. The powdery mildew, unfortunately, we didn't see much effect really no delay in disease progress curve, and well, most leaf removal treatments ended up with less disease than the control with no leaf removal, but there were not much difference between the different treatments. So if we look at the impact on the quality of harvest, you have downy mildew at the top and powdery mildew. Well, we didn't find yeah, we got less disease, obviously, but the disease reduction was about 23% for downy mildew and 33% for powdery mildew. So again, in no way for these two diseases, it would be enough to keep the disease below the economic threshold. But we got a good impact on disease management. If we look at the other factor we looked at, we didn't find any impact on airborne inoculum. But I must say that most of this inoculum traveled between the different plots. So that's probably the reason why we didn't see much impact. However, in terms of microclimate, the major impact we saw was on shorter leaf wetness duration. Depending on the different trials and the different years, it was between 30 and 40% shorter leaf wetness period. So that's probably why, in terms of downy mildew and botrytis bunch rot, we got an impact on higher impact on disease. The other factor that was significant was fungicide penetration. Obviously, if you remove leaves, you get a better fungicide penetration. That was expected. In terms of relative humidity and temperature, we didn't find a significant difference between the different treatments. So having said that, we concluded after the first 2 years of the project that it is a good practice. However, we didn't know exactly how that could be integrated in IPM programs. In other words, how can we skip some fungicide treatments because of the leaf removal treatment? So we did the experiment sorry, both for anthracnose and botrytis bunch rot. But I will present only the results for botrytis because of the time we have today. So we selected botrytis bunch rot because, at least in Eastern Canada, I'm not quite sure in the western other parts of the country, but it's definitively one of the main diseases. But the main problem we have is fungicide resistance. Surveys show for some family up to 90% fungicide resistance. So it's not just a question of saving on fungicides, it's a question of efficacy of these fungicides. So the question was how leaf removal can be used to improve and reduce the number of synthetic fungicide application, as well as could it be a way for the organic growers to use some of either low-risk fungicides or improve the efficacy of biocontrol agent. So we repeated as a first part the experimental leaf removal, but this time under commercial condition. So we let the grower did the leaf removal. Well, we helped them, but they did it the way they're used to do it. And as you can see on the graph here, well, when we use leaf removal, well, first of all, you should see that the botrytis bunch rot was much higher. That's an average of 2 years. This is on the cultivar Ceval. And we managed with leaf removal to reduce it at about 15%. So we were far away from the economic threshold when it was done under commercial conditions. So we established an experiment. It was a pretty big experiment. It was conducted over 3 years. And we decided to design an IPM program. So we followed the classical way of building IPM programs. So if you look at the pyramid, at the bottom, we had 2 cultivars. So Ceval, which is considered to be highly susceptible, Vidad, moderately susceptible. Then we use risk-based decision-making. So we look at the weather, the inoculum, and the phenological stages. Then physical control, that was the leaf removal. And here we had the debris removal. So I'll explain it. And we on top of it, the biological control and chemical control. So we did that at 3 vineyards, and the vineyards were for each cultivar split in 2 large sections. One section where we tried to remove all debris left in the fall, and following the flowering period as much as we could. So we call it trash management section and a no trash management section. So imagine that we had the 2 cultivar, each section split in 2 sections, and within these 2 big sections we had 10 treatments. So basically the first 5 treatments we applied the leaf removal twice, and the other 5 no leaf removal, and then the botrytis bunch rot was either treated with biological control or chemical control at fixed interval, or based on the risk of botrytis. And the biocontrol agent we used in this experiment was the commercial name is Botecta. It's a yeast called Aerobasidium pullulans. If you want more detail about that, it has been published in the journal Plant Disease. So if we look at the results, there was a significant impact of trash management. Here you can see the scale is the same, but regardless of the treatment, there was much less botrytis when trash were removed. And if you look at the bars that are ash bars, those are with the leaf removal treatment. So with the exception of leaf removal as the sole treatment, we were able to keep the botrytis bunch rot when we apply biological control and chemical control based on risk below the 5% economic threshold. So we were very happy with that, and we managed to do that with a reduction of fungicides application of about, depending on the sites and the year, between 40 and 50%. So we could show a real benefit of leaf removals in terms of the number of fungicide application. As I mentioned, we did a similar experiment with anthracnose, and in that case, we used the data to do the cost effectiveness of leaf removal for anthracnose. So in the case of anthracnose, I didn't have time to show all the results, but basically it was very similar to what we did on botrytis bunch rot. And basically in the IPM programs, we could reduce the number of fungicide applications significantly. So that's why you can see that the cost of fungicides was reduced. And if we add up the cost of leaf removal, if you look at the 3rd column, you can see that there is an economic benefit of leaf removal. So there was, in that case, we see a benefit in terms of disease management for both diseases and in terms of cost of production. So we concluded from that it's a very good practice. I must mention, however, that here the leaf removal was really done with a focus of disease management. So it was done a little bit earlier than usual, because we wanted to target the most important infection period by these the different pathogens. It's cost effective, even though it requires more disease. However, I should also mention that we can get the benefit when we can measure the microclimate in the canopy. I showed at the beginning of the presentation the impact on the duration of leaf wetness. So the best value added, I should say, is to do leaf removal and being able to measure the microclimate, mainly leaf wetness, within the canopy. If you use the leaf wetness outside the canopy, you won't really get the benefit of the leaf removal. So there was a significant impact on disease reduction, and it's a nice way to favor or increase the effectiveness of low-risk fungicides and biofungicide. As I showed you on botrytis bunch rot, we had the same disease management level with biological control agent, and with a reduced number of applications. So it was very cost effective. So I won't take more time and just say a big thanks to my team, as well as the Grape One growers who accepted to work with us and allowed us to do the experiment on their farm, the summer student, as well as my colleague who helped me with the analysis for Dr. Van der Heyden, and our technology transfer person, Carl Belek, who collaborated with me to transfer the results to the grower at different meetings. So I thank you very much. Hope I didn't take too much time.